And then I don't know if y'all keep up with the news or whatever, but like Deion Sanders, last month I think came out with this idea of doing a scrimmage against another team as a spring game. I'm curious from a player's perspective, is that something y'all would like to do if it was legal by the NCAA?
I wouldn't mind it. I'm a fan of competition, whichever way it comes, and I think a little bit sometimes it kind of gets a little bit old practicing against the same people, the same looks. You get kind of the same moves. So yeah, I think it would be a nice little refreshing kind of aspect to play somebody else, and it kind of gives you something to look forward to towards that last game. Not saying that I'm not looking forward to the spring game, but it would be nice.
I definitely agree with Fernando. You get tired of beating up on the same color and your buddies all day. You get ready to beat up on somebody else,
For both of you, I mean, how does the vibe of practice change? How does the vibe of the team change, if at all, right when the clock strikes week of the spring game?
I wouldn't say the vibe changed at all. It's just, especially for the seniors, it just gets more urgent, Like, this is our last ride. This is our last, like, today is literally our last spring. It's crazy saying that. This is my last spring practice ever in college football. So it's just going out there and, like, not even on a serious note, just having more fun and just, like, doing things that you wouldn't usually do, just, like, not even in a bad way, but just going out there and having more fun. Y'all see, I always say fun. Like, I'm big on having fun because I'll never get this time back, I'll never get this time back in front of you guys. So just having fun and just soaking up every moment, I feel like that would be the biggest vibe change, I would say.
Yeah, I think Larry hit it on the nose. Just going out there, realizing the urgency of getting better right now. We only have 15 practices to get better, and when you go out there and step on the field and the buzzer strikes for that first period, you realize you're not going to get that time back. So go all to the wall and give it everything you got.
And Fernando, for you, with the offense not having the day that it wanted in the scrimmage, would you chalk that up to a little bit of the growing pains?
Yeah, I think we all have our days. Sometimes you go out there and the ball's not falling the way you want it to fall. And I think it starts obviously with the offensive line. We had to protect better that day. And I think we had a lot of mishaps. And, there was a lot of things that we could have done better to obviously get us into the end zone, give us that, that little edge to kind of get us going. And I think as an offensive line, we just got to step up earlier in those scrimmages and show, hey, we're gonna set the tempo, we're gonna set the pace for the game, and have everybody else follow after us.
Would you say, I guess, that like being in the stadium is like I guess compared to practice is like a better learning experience for like the newer guys on the line?
Most definitely. Stepping into that stadium means everything. When you step in there, you're playing for not even yourself, but you're playing for the people that played back in the past 20 years from now. And so, there's definitely a sense of it's bigger in the stadium, but that's good. That pressure kind of adds to the aspect of practice, and it makes you play better, and, adds to the element of, getting better at practice.
Your impression of the scrimmage Saturday seemed like a good day for the defense.
I would say it was a good scrimmage, but you can't just base the scrimmage off of that. I would say there's a lot of things that we need to learn from and get better at. Even though it's a good day, it's also like things that we got to work on. And just like even though they had not necessarily a bad day, it's just what can we take from this scrimmage and what can we grow further from for the next scrimmage or Saturday.
Larry, you mentioned Raylan and Mike a minute ago. I was curious, when you're lined up at Hog, you could be, you don't know, you could be covering Raylan, or you could be having to tackle Mike. Mm-hmm. How difficult is that to have to be good at covering, tackling a physical back, but also a shifty wide receiver?
In a situation like that, that's why I just got to thank God for my God-given ability, so everybody can't go out there and do that, so that's what comes with like playing Hog, so you got to be up for that challenge to be able to go fit the run and also cover a shifty receiver like that. So
we kind of take, I guess, Xavier for granted a little bit, but he had two huge plays in the scrimmage Saturday and he's had a really good spring. Just your thoughts on what he means to the defense.
Man, I love Soren. That's my brother, literally, like on and off the field, and I don't take him for granted at all. And the defense, I could tell you for sure, the defense doesn't take him for granted. Everybody's not a loud-spoken person. He's just like more of a laid-back person, but I promise you he's going to get that job done every single time on and off the field.
Yeah, I'm just extremely grateful that he's on our team and I get to go up against him every day at practice because he makes me better. And just the way his physicality and his speed, it's made me such a better player from going up against him every single day because he is a special talent. And, you know, he kind of gets that defense going because he's just that guy.
You were talking about Madden earlier, both of you. I was wondering if either of you could pronounce his last name or would like to make an attempt.
Iumaule, eh? Yeah.
I'm gonna just stick to Madden.
Miguel came in last year, and we never had an interview thing with him. Could you tell us a little about who he is and just his skill set? What do you think of him?
Miguel's a great person on and off the field for sure, and his skill set, like I said, my first meeting here, he can ball skills great. Tackling is great. You need somebody that can come fit in the box. Great. All three, he checks the board all across the board, and he's great. And I can't wait to play alongside him this year.
Could you touch on Caleb, maybe a couple other safeties, what you think of him?
I loved all of them. I love, like, that's one group that I'm very strong on. Caleb, he was a great addition to add from Auburn, and I would say, like, just bringing in that SEC experience, that was, like, a very great thing because, like, it's different. It's different playing this conference, playing SEC after SEC every single week, you know. So Caleb having that experience already was great. I would say Q's been great. He didn't have any SEC experience, but he had previous experience. He's proved a lot, and he's been doing very well. Who else been back there? That's JJ. I would say JJ Shelton, the freshman. He doesn't play like a freshman. I'm pretty sure you guys can see that. So he's been playing that hard position. He's been doing a very well job. And I would say one thing, we've just been trying to bond very well in that group and bring, like, we want to be the closest group on, like, the whole football team this year. So, and I'm pretty sure we've been showing that.
Looks like good news on Braylon Russell with his knee, but when you look at the tailback crew overall, you know, he touted Mike. What do you think about that? Your pack running backs?
Man, we got a lot of great running backs back there. I could talk on and on about them. Braylon obviously getting hurt, that was really scary for us. But, you know, we got Rodney Hill. We got Big Mike. Mike is going to be one of those players where we give him the ball and he's going to make a play and you're going to be like, yeah, that's why we brought him to Arkansas. And there's a lot of other guys back there that have been doing amazing. And AJ Green's been playing amazing. But, you know, that's just a special room. They're really deep. They all care about getting better. And, you know, I love blocking for them because, you know, they help us out a ton. Even when we miss our blocks, they make us right and they make us look good. So I love them all.
You look like you'd be a fun teammate, but I think you're feisty in practice. There was a day about 2 or 3 weeks ago where you were in the middle of a couple of things. Is there something different at practice?
Yeah, I think that's just kind of how I am on the field. You know, there's that switch that needs to be flipped. It's a violent game, and obviously it's all love to my teammates. You know, whatever happens on the field doesn't get carried over in the locker room, and it gets squashed right then and there. And, you know, that's just part of the game. The emotions run high, and, you know, but we're all competing. And like kind of we said earlier in a few other questions is like you're beating up on the same guys, and it just kind of gets frustrating because you're just like, man, I love you as a brother, but like I'm just tired of seeing you, and I'm tired of hitting you, man. I need a new face. So, you know, springtime does get a little bit hectic, and it gets a little bit chippy, but that's the beauty of football.
Last year when Harrison got here, he'd been out of football for quite a while. You're playing baseball. Have you seen him being maybe more comfortable and just fit? And how much has he improved his game from this time last year to now?
He's a baller. You know, he's definitely learning, you know, what it takes. Because like you said, being a baseball player, it's a completely different game. And, you know, just having to build that physicality into himself and, you know, what it takes to play in the SEC. And I think he learned that last year. And so this year he's just kind of came in and he's been a great leader for that wide receiver room. And he's stepped up his game and he's been playing great ball.
With Andrew, Isaac, and Tyrone Burden, those guys gone, can he be that bigger receiver or one of the bigger receivers out there? Because most of them are not that big as him.
Most definitely, yeah. He has that dad bod to him. He has that great size and frame to him, and so yeah, he could definitely be that bigger receiver for us and show up on Saturdays. He's been playing his tail off, and like I said, you know, I think he kind of realized what it takes to play SEC football, and he, you know, his attention to detail has definitely gone to the point where he's ready to play and make big plays.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're
sorry
good.
Larry, what have you seen from J.J. Shelton this spring, from maybe start to now? He really delivered a lick out there Saturday on running back, I think it was.
Yes, sir. The first thing I noticed, I was just like, dang, he's a freshman. Like he's supposed to be going into prom in a couple weeks, you know. So that was the biggest thing, just seeing like the tremendous growth and how mature he was coming straight from out of high school. Speed, physicality is all there. So just being able to be alongside him, he's showed a lot of growth.
Yeah, Fernando, you mentioned the challenge of going from tackle to guard. Marion Harris is doing that every day from series to series sometimes. Just what's the challenge of that, and what's it say about him that he's able to do both of those?
Yeah, he does both at an extremely great level and a great, I admire him so much because, he's able to play on the right side, right tackle, switch over to left tackle, move to right guard, move to left guard, and it's, it takes a special talent to do that. And so I've definitely taken a lot from him, being obviously an older guy and he's a little bit younger than me, but, he's able to maneuver so much. So I definitely take everything that he's kind of doing out there, and I take his little tips and bits that he's been kind of telling me. And, it takes a special talent to do that. And so I'm very grateful to have him on our team because he's that guy that could just bounce around, and he's just a really good role model to help me just kind of model my game after.
Appreciate you. Thank you all so much.
Appreciate y'all.